Hello and welcome to a brief presentation about 211 Newfoundland and Labrador. Today we're going to talk about the N11 numbering system, the history of 211, what is 211 and what are the benefits, the service navigation and the expansion teams, the 211 database, and some of the ways that we raise awareness, such as 211 Day. Everyone is familiar with 911, of course, and 811 became more familiar to people during the COVID pandemic. 411 was fairly relevant years ago when we all used landlines and we needed directory assistance. In St. John's, Newfoundland, you can dial 311 to get in touch with the city. And today we're going to talk about 211. So 211 began in the United States in 1976. By 1999, it was available in every state of the United States. It was launched in Canada in 2002 as 211 Toronto, which still exists today. In 2020, 211 Newfoundland and Labrador was launched with funding from the federal government in partnership with United Way Centraide Canada, Find Help, and United Way Newfoundland and Labrador. And today, 211 is available all across Canada. So what is 211? 211 is the three-digit navigation service that connects people to the complete range of government, community, and social services in the province. We do connect people to all health services in the province, and our mandate is to focus on mental health and addiction services. 211 can be accessed by anyone living in Newfoundland and Labrador by phone. They can go to our website at nl.211.ca and review our database in that way. We have a chat function on our website whereby people will talk to a live navigator and access resources through that method. We also have a downloadable app. We recommend that people call because by calling, they'll receive the most comprehensive and holistic service. So 211 is available 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. It has a language capacity supporting over 150 different languages, including indigenous languages. Our wait times are minimal, usually less than a minute. The service is free and it's confidential. We don't record your name or any other identifying information. And we can provide follow-ups if needed. So 211 is referred to as an information, assessment, referral, and follow-up service, and we connect people with resources in their area that can help. We have Canada's largest database of community and government services, and we are Canada's primary source of information for government and community-based programs and services, human, health, and social programs, and we can connect people directly to clinical programs, supports, and services when needed through live transfers. And 211 services all populations, so youth, adults, seniors, families, newcomers, Indigenous peoples, people with disabilities, and the LGBTQ+ community. Our database consists of programs and supports that are available in the province, such as food, income, housing and shelters, mental health and addictions, employment opportunities, newcomer services, government programs and initiatives, as well as community-based programs. Our number one call these days revolves around food, so more than 40% of our callers these days are trying to access food resources, whether it be food pantries or community fridges, food banks, or the Meals on Wheels program. In fact, based on a recent Statistic Canada study, 45% of the children in this province are living in food insecure homes. So food is a primary concern these days. So what are the benefits of 211? Sometimes these days when you call an organization and you're trying to get some help or some information, it can be difficult to get a live person on the line. Oftentimes you're met with a voicemail menu, which can be frustrating at times, and you're not sure if someone will call you back. When you do reach someone, you might find that the service is not as helpful as you thought it might be, or you might find that the service is inconsistent depending on who you get on the phone. When people call 211, they'll be greeted by friendly service navigators who are trained and certified to provide information, assessments, and referrals over the phone by an organization called Inform Canada. Most of our service navigators are trained social workers, or trained counselors, or former teachers, and so they understand how to speak to people appropriately and respectfully and with empathy. When you call, needs assessments are conducted as a part of the information and referral process, and then referrals are provided based upon that assessment. We track our inquiries and record them for purposes of quality assurance and for reporting purposes around things like unmet needs, which we'll talk about in a moment. So our service navigators are trained to deal with emotions and are ready to listen, assess, provide service navigation to connect people with help. They can do some limited advocacy, and they can provide follow-ups if necessary. In terms of limited advocacy, sometimes we may have a caller who is not technologically proficient. Perhaps they don't use email, for example, or are not computer savvy. In those instances, sometimes we can send an email to, say, a government program on their behalf to file an application or a request. We can do what we call light touch form support. So if someone has a form that needs to be filled out, if that form has 3 or 4 simple questions, we can help them with that. However, if a form is, for example, 12 pages long and would take 30 minutes of time, that's something that would not fall in the purview of our service navigators because we need them to be available to answer calls. And we try to answer our calls within 1 minute and provide people with the service they need within 5 to 10 minutes. We can also provide follow-ups. So if we refer someone to one or several different services, we can reach out to them a few business days after the fact just to see if they received the help that they needed, and if not, perhaps we can refer them to someone else that could be helpful. So when people call us, often they don't know what resources exist out there or where to find them. They just know that they have a problem or a challenge, and they're looking for help. So our goal is to be a bridge to help connect individuals and community agencies to one another. Here's an example of a Newfoundland caller story. A veteran who was an older adult called 211 one day. He was going through a difficult period. He had recently undergone a major surgery and found out that he was going to be evicted from his home in a couple of weeks. The caller told our service navigator that he had nowhere to go and that he had been on the NL housing list for several years but had not been placed in a subsidized home. Based on their assessment, we referred this caller to an organization called Connections for Seniors, which provides temporary housing for older adults. Because they were a veteran, we also reached out to Veterans Affairs, and Veterans Affairs was able to secure long-term housing for them, as well as address some of the other challenges that they were experiencing. We encourage people to call in pretty much any circumstance in which they need help. Sometimes we'll receive calls from people that are looking just to get connected to their community. Recently, we had a call from a woman who was an older adult as well, and she was recently widowed, and she was feeling isolated and disconnected from her community. So we recommended a number of recreational activities and hobby activities that she could get involved in. When we followed up with her, we learned that she had attended some of these classes and some of these activities and was making some friends, enjoying herself, and feeling more and more connected to her community. Another one of our benefits is the 211 database. As I mentioned earlier, the 211 database is the largest database of government, community, and social services in the country. Our database is updated regularly, and it's continuously growing. New programs, supports, and services must go through a verification process by our data management team before being approved to be added to the 211 database. Generally, we would like an organization or a service to be in existence for about a year to ensure that it has longevity. One of the instances where we are more lenient in terms of our vetting process for services and supports to be added to the database again revolves around food. Because food can be transitory and sometimes communities can offer community pantries or community fridges on a limited or short-term basis, we try to add as many food resources as we can, as long as we have an email address or a phone number that we can connect people with. Existing programs, services, and supports can be updated by going directly to our website at nl.211.ca. And to add new programs and services, people can follow this link, updates.211support.org/single record. As mentioned earlier, sometimes when people call 211, there may be limited or no access to resources in their specific area. This happens more frequently in rural communities. These requests go into the unmet needs category and are used for data collection purposes to ideally inform decisions around problem solving, provide an early alert system in identifying these gaps, and to enable advocacy with partners, service providers, organizations, agencies, government, and healthcare services to hopefully create innovative programming that can mitigate these gaps. We raise awareness through a number of methods. We conduct social media campaigns. We do media interviews. We distribute promotional materials, things like postcards, bookmarks, posters, fridge magnets, and a variety of swag. We do presentations and information sessions like this one. And we're promoted by the Government Communications Department as a part of the Wellbeing Plan. We also promote 211 on 211 Day. So 211 Day is celebrated every year in Canada on February the 11th, which is the second month and the 11th day, thereby 211. The goal is to highlight the services that 211 provides. And on those days, we ask mayors and municipalities across Newfoundland and Labrador and the country to sign 211 Day proclamations and declare February the 11th as 211 Day in their region. And if possible, we ask them to illuminate a landmark in red. And in the picture here provided, you can see BC Place in Vancouver illuminated in red for 211 Day. You can find us on social media at Twitter at 211_NL, on Facebook at 211NL, and LinkedIn at 211NL. We also have a YouTube channel where you can have a look at some of our PSAs. And of course, you can visit our website at nl.211.ca. That concludes our presentation. Thank you for watching this video about 211 Newfoundland and Labrador. If you would like some information or would like to schedule a presentation or to receive some materials, please reach out to us at 211@nl.unitedway.ca. Thank you.